countries have been fighting this thing individually. But when we come together, our voice becomes, as I said, stronger. We have a much more powerful voice across the multilateral system. When you consider Africa, the number of countries on the African continent, the number of countries that make up the CARICOM region, this is a strong, powerful voice. If it only it was stitched together into one strong match. You know, as the Kikuyus have that saying, if you really stitch the base of a kiondo and make it strong, it can carry rocks, right? And this is what we are trying to build, make ours strong, that it can be able to push our agenda, our voice, to much greater heights. Yeah. And these are some of the things that we hope to do. For the first time, you know, we managed, when we were faced with this COVID situation, to bring, for example, the Caribbean, which are small countries with small populations. But when we added them on to our platform of purchasing vaccines, riding on the strength of the African numbers, they were able to access some of those vaccines at much lower prices. The problem, of course, was that despite all this preparedness, we still were not able to get access to the vaccines. And now that is a battle, and that is a recognition that, you see, we were able to bring ourselves together to negotiate good prices, yeah. But we were still faced with other challenges that included access to vaccines. Now, what does this tell us? The same way we got together in order for us to take advantage of bulk buying, we now also need together and say that if we're out there and we're saying we want to manufacture for 2 billion people, we should start now also manufacturing vaccines for our own people. So again, we're not dependent, yeah, on others to supply us. But if Kenya alone were to go and say, I'm manufacturing vaccines for 40 million, Barbados was going to say, I'm manufacturing vaccines for 400,000, another country for 2 million, it doesn't make economic sense. But if we're out there saying, wait a minute, this is our market size and we want to force production in our region to supply these almost 2 billion people, that is a powerful voice. That is an interesting voice, even for people who are looking to invest when you're talking about a market that size.
Is that why you often hear the phrase vaccine apartheid?
Well, it has been vaccine apartheid. How can you call it anything other when you have countries, developed countries, owners of the vaccine, owners of the factories, hoarding, injecting their people not only with just the 2 injections, but also moving to inject a third booster injection. And yet most of our countries are well below 5% who have received even 1 single dose. So you can call it what you want, but basically that is denying billions of people access. And I think when you go by exclusion, you can call it exclusion, you can call it apartheid, but it all means ultimately the same thing, denying access.
Mr. President, your vision, I mean, you're coming up to the end of your presidency in about a year's time. Your vision, not just for Kenya, but the continent, what do you see? What do you,
I just continue to see this huge potential that we have as a continent if only we pulled and worked together. If only, and I repeat because I will never tire of doing so, recognize the strength that we have in our numbers. If only our voice was one. Recognizing the opportunities that we have. If, for example, we were manufacturing for the population the size of which I've given you. And recognizing that our differences are actually fewer than the similarities and opportunities that we have were we together. The potential for our continent, for our respective countries is tremendous. If only we could just harness that power of unity.
So I know you're a busy man. You have many meetings here in New York, and we appreciate your time. When we get back to Kenya, we can talk.
I'll give you another one.
We'll talk local politics.
Absolutely.
We'll talk regional politics.
Absolutely.
The works.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for your time.
Really appreciate it, Jeff, and thank you for being with us.
Good to see you in New York, sir. Thank you, sir. And thanks so much for joining us. President Uhuru Kenyatta, he's assumed the temporary chairmanship of the United Nations Security Council here in New York. So Kenya is on the front burner, the entire month of October, and of course, still on the Security Council for the next 2 years. Thanks so much for joining us. This has been a special edition, exclusive, Jeff Koinange Live here in New York City. Thanks again, Mr. President. Appreciate it. All right, all the best.